The Miracle of the Missing Paper. Written by Brother Brandon Miller. Narrated by Brother Jerry Morley. I started my new job as a state trooper here in Ohio recently. This job was a godsend to my family and me, answering prayers on many levels. The job carries a 1-year probation from the time you graduate the academy, during which they can fire you for just about anything. One of my duties is to process important legal documents. One day, I finished filling out a document for court and put it in my file. Even though I was there past the end of my shift and it had been a long day, I was focused on putting it in my file because I'm a guy and sometimes misplace things. The next day, I needed to reference the document that I had filed the night before. To my astonishment, I opened the filing cabinet, went to my file, and went to where the document was supposed to be. It wasn't there. I calmly thumbed through my whole file, assured my fingers would stumble upon it. It wasn't there. Now my mind was racing with questions. Did I actually file it? What did I do immediately after I filled it out? As I paused to think about it, I was sure I put it in my file, so I thumbed through it again. That paper wasn't there. Now things started to get a little more frantic. I started thinking maybe I set it down somewhere and somebody mistakenly put it somewhere else. I looked in my sergeant's office and through the files in his room. I went into the secretary's office and it wasn't there either. I even went as far as to go to the lieutenant's office. One of the perks of the midnight shift is not having any of the higher-ups on post. I should mention that in between checking each room, I checked my file again because I knew it should be there. The more I went back to my file, the more I searched the whole filing cabinet, like my neighbor's file, until eventually I went through everybody's file in the drawer. Finally, I realized I was going to lose my job. I started to think of my future. What was I going to tell my wife? What job could I get after getting fired from here? How am I going to get anything compared to what I have now? I called one of my coworkers who was on duty at the time and explained the situation to him. His only advice was, "Oh man, you better find that paper." I went back to the filing cabinet, exhausted of ideas. I couldn't even bring myself to think of how much of a failure I would feel like explaining this situation to everybody who had celebrated with me when I got this job. I once again checked my file and methodically went through the whole drawer again. And nothing. Disheartened and defeated, I walked into the post bathroom, shut the door behind me, and locked it. I fell on my face, lying completely stretched out, face down, and poured my heart out to God. I told him what he already knew, that I was going to lose my job. I asked him to forgive me for not being more careful with important tasks, and that I asked him if he would grant me this blessing of finding my paper. I stood up, walked to the filing cabinet, opened my drawer, and sticking out of my file was the paper I needed. The file was spread open in the drawer like the paper was just put in there. I don't exaggerate what I'm saying. My file wasn't as if it was spread open with my paper inserted into the gap. I know it was spread open, and my paper was put in there. I will also admit that I stood there astonished for a second because I thought of how sure I was yesterday to put my paper in my file and how many times I searched that drawer just moments before. The answer rang clear. I needed reminding that God can do all things. He has placed that solid rock of testimony on my foundation. I thank God for all He's done, for changing my life, and accomplishing all that He has, even in someone like me. We invite you to share your testimony. Did today's article inspire you? Did it remind you of how God is alive and working in our lives every day, even in the smallest details? We all love hearing these stories. That's why we're inviting you to please share your testimonies and miracles with us so that we can publish them here to the honor and glory of God. Your testimonies can be big or small. We love them all. Send your articles to gospelblog@thechurchofjesuschrist.org. Thank you, and God bless you.